so let's get over here. There it is. Alrighty, so let's get over here. Alright. No, it doesn't. Alright. Okay, so nobody's here yet, so I'm just going to start kind of chitty-chatting and talking. So basically, strangers, some of the interesting rules that we've kind of added and played with. So basically, strangers. Sorry, I'm in the middle of doing something while I talk. Sorry, I'm in the middle of doing something while I talk. Alright, I'm back, and you know I have my full attention. Okay, so, one of the big ones that we have in Strangers is called the Yours and Mine system. And it kind of adds a little bit of a gambling aspect to character creation. One of the big ones that we have in Strangers is called the Yours and Mine system. And it kind of adds what I like about that. So how it works. Oh, hang on. Okay. Hopefully that fixed it. Hey, Al, how's it going? Thanks for coming. It's good to see you.
Hopefully that fixed it.
So, yeah, it was. It was feedbacking pretty hard on my end. I'm hoping it wasn't on anybody else's. So Yours or Mine. What I really like about Yours or Mine, as I said, it gives a little element of gambling to your character creation. If you do not like your die roll, I think you're a little quiet. Yeah.
To your character creation.
Okay. Well, that's what this is about. This is about testing. So let me see. Oh, it's picking up. Oh, I see what's going on. Let's kill that. Okay, let me do this thing. Alright, hopefully that's better. Audio mixer I do not need. Okay, my audio input capture is all the way up. Mic auxiliary, let's pull that all the way up. How's that? Can you hear me now? Does that sound better? Okay, good. So now we sound good. Thumbs up. Awesome. Sweet. So, do you have any questions or concerns since I have you in the room? I was gonna talk about the Yours and Mine system. I was gonna talk about the magic number system, and all the little fun add-ons that I had for strangers that people can use or not use at their whim. GMs can keep them or ditch them. I prefer to use them because I think it adds a little more uniqueness to strangers. That's kind of why I created it. So is Brandon going to be running a game? Just curious. Okay, so you like the uniqueness and the feeling of strangers. I'm sensing a but. Brandon is in a server in the vote right now. It's between Fallout and Strangers, so whichever one wins is which you guys are going to play. Okay. I think the character creation we did over one. I think we did almost 4 pages of okay, these skills, these racials, these roles, keeping track of everything. I could probably screenshot the notebook I took. It's pretty sloppy though and not that important. Okay, so if you have a printed character sheet that you could do that on, or like you had said before, a character sheet that you can edit and be able to type the values in where they go, that foregoes all of that stress and having a small notebook full of notes and things like that. Yeah, I don't know. Printer, I'll work on the PDF tonight. If the PDF does not work, get back to me. And I'll see what I can do about forcing it into a, because when I open the PDF, every single word and every single divider comes up as its own piece. So I have to flatten it so that then you can go in and edit it and just put the values in and nothing moves and changes. Because if you try to do that now, it's going to janky the whole thing. I'm still like, I love everybody on Twitch. There's been so many people on Discord that are established on Twitch that have helped me and have guided me to just get to the point where I can start uploading streams. I'm still so very new to this whole thing. Doing anything aside from sitting around a table and running a tabletop game is all very new and very alien to me. Since we published the book at the end of March, this has been a huge roller coaster and a huge learning curve. So I do appreciate that everyone is giving me a little leeway and a little time to try and hone in on getting everything squared away. The races is fun. When we do the hardcover, we're going to try and add some more races. So the race table will change a bit. The first issue notice was on your powers, benefits, glossary, all being one section. Glossary should not... Oh, powers, benefits, and limitations. Technically, benefits and limitations do fall under powers. Powers, basically, I called them that because I didn't have a better term. Powers, benefits, and limitations all fall under anything that can potentially edit stats and skills and personality traits. So having something where it's so if you get combat sense, that gives you bonuses to strength, agility, endurance, intuition, and perception. Plus, I think it gives you a bonus to initiative, and it gives you extra attacks. So that falls under powers, benefits, and limitations. You could have a limitation where you are afraid of aliens over 6 feet tall. Well, that is going to affect your psyche and your willpower, and potentially your charisma interacting with aliens over 6 feet tall. So that is going to change those stats in those certain situations. And that's why I group them all together. One of the benefits is being a second generation time runner, where you were born and raised on the Citadel. And so for that aspect, instead of cutting your stats in half, you get full die rolls. So whatever you roll is whatever your stat is, because you lived and trained from infancy on the Citadel. So that changes literally all of your stats and skills and everything. You get a bonus to those. So that's why I kind of group those together. Even though they are 3 separate entities, it was kind of grouped together under, and that's, someone else had brought up, why did I do powers before I did stats? Because as a player, I hate writing down all my stats, and then when I get bonuses from abilities and stuff, having to erase a stat and then add 10, and then erase it again and add another 10. That's annoying to me. If I can just jot all of the bonuses in the margin, get my die roll, and then add all that bonus to my die roll, it's one shot. I don't have to worry about it. Yes, that's exactly the reason I did it. You want to get most or all of your bonuses before you start writing down your stats. It just makes it easier when you're rolling your stats to just add in those bonuses. And I've had people ask me, why did you do it that way? Why didn't you do stats first? That is specifically the reason we did that. So a lot of it was my experience as a GM. A lot of it was my experience as a player. Things I enjoyed, things I was annoyed by that we tweaked and changed. Whether I was playing Dungeons and Dragons, or I was playing Star Wars, or Rifts, or whatever game I was in, where character creation, combat, all of these things, there was always things I really loved about it, but there was always things that really annoyed the snot out of me. And so we went out of our way to try and accentuate the things that we loved and remove the things that were annoying, to streamline and make a game that was very player friendly, very GM friendly, and very fluid. And that was really the whole point of the whole thing. And the fact that you could import export from any other game, from any book, anime, manga, movie, TV series, literally pull from anywhere and create players and NPCs. There's very few in my personal games. There's very few races I refuse and I disallow in my home campaigns. Generally, it's hive-minded characters or races, hive-minded races, that their sole purpose is to take over an area where they live. I'm trying to say it without saying it. There is a series of movies with an alien race where it is a hive mind and mammal type species, as far as I know, are the only ones that become impregnated from the egg, and then the I guess, lack of a better term, larval form erupts from their body, grows, and becomes the kill everybody thing. Races like that, skills is very deep, and I think if you're going to do prereqs, the skill trees could be in order, because especially for some, I was flipping back and forth for 40. Okay, that's a good one. Skill trees might not be a bad idea. We might try and look into that for the hardcover. That actually is that's not a bad idea. I like that. Possible letting multiple things count as a prereq. I don't require X amount of Y total prereqs. Yeah, when I was writing it, skills was not my favorite part. And I may have, I'll admit it, I may have rushed that one. Hi, Vampire Girly, welcome. We were kind of going over, Bandit had made a character with someone who has a hard copy of the book, and they were just explaining to me some things that they really enjoyed, and some concerns about character creation. And so we're kind of going over character creation and some of the fun things and some of the annoying things. So just kind of skill tree. Like I said, skill tree is something I definitely am thinking about switching to, rather than just a list of skills with prereqs. Because like you said, flipping back and forth while doing your skills is kind of annoying. I would agree. So I definitely will look into switching that for the hardcover. We will be starting work on the hardcover next month. So it does seem a bit odd for me because I learned weapon systems and surveillance systems without anything, but I would need a prerequisite for security systems. Okay. Weapon systems is for starships. Weapon systems is if you think to a certain TV series, standing behind the captain was the person running the weapon systems and shooting the laser beams and the torpedoes. That is weapon systems on a starship. Surveillance systems is surveillance cameras, surveillance things of that nature. Security systems, I'm going to stick by that one. Security systems, you're running into door locks, you're running into cameras fall under that, surveillance systems. You're running into hacking passwords, all that sort of stuff. So to encompass an entire security system, yes, I would say there are prereqs. So you can go and convince a GM that you can use this skill instead for a check. Depending on the skill. If you can convince a GM that instead of security systems, if you want to hack, okay, so let's hypothetically, you want to hack a surveillance camera. And he says, well, give me a security systems check. And you say, well, I don't have security systems, but I have surveillance systems, which is cameras. As a GM, I would totally let that. I would totally let that slide. I'd be like, yep, good deal, do it. I might give you like a -5 penalty, but I would still let that one ride because, in my opinion, you are being specific. You're not trying to go through the whole security system. You're just focusing on one aspect of it. So yes, if you have a skill that works with that aspect, totally use it. I would in my games, yes, I would let that go. But a lot of people have said the yours are mine system. They've really, really enjoyed that. Having you roll for a stat or a power ranking in character creation. Vampire Girly, I may be talking to you about that in maybe a couple weeks. Because something I want to do on the website is NPC interviews. and some of the NPCs are female, and so I would need potentially someone, whether on camera or off camera, potentially doing the voices of the NPCs. There would be a script, and need to make sure that I get paid from selling the rule book so that I can pay to have the voices done, because I don't like people working for free. So yeah, in a couple weeks, I'll hit you up because I do have you friended on Discord. So back to Bandit. I have a hybrid, half Naga, half Succubus. Invisibility, flight. So I'm thinking of, okay, that would make an extremely mobile saboteur. So not just using weapon systems, but sabotaging them. Okay. I do not know any voice actors. I was going to do quite a bit of the voice acting myself. Or having my girlfriend potentially be the interviewer. And I could do some of the male voices. But I don't really think I have the voice to do the female characters. I can do the accents great, but I really don't think I got the voice to nail it. Did you, did you take, so you got, I would, instead of weapon systems, which like I said is Starship weapon systems, I would have taken something akin to computer hacking, because so I think Brandon is thinking, when he's thinking weapon systems, like tripods and drones and stuff, but it's actually large. I think if you read it, oh, nice. Ignore racial penalties is awesome. Yes, hacking computers. I honestly think I got you on Discord. Let me see if I can. If not, just send me a friend invite. Sorry if I get double messages. My Twitch has been bugged for a few weeks now. No, I'm getting single ones over here, so you are fine, L. Don't worry about it. I think your auto mod is handled. Yes, because I'm only seeing singles on my side. But yeah, I would look into computer hacking instead of weapon systems. And anything of that sort that is going to be more akin to dismantling, because I really believe that computer hacking, computer repair, computer programming stuff, there are a ton of skills, but with that many races and that many abilities and that many potential archetypes that you can play, I wanted at least some, because honestly there's so many skills in the world. I didn't even scratch the surface on that list, and that list is like, what, 3 pages, 2 pages, where it's nothing but listing skills. So I mean, you could do an entire book of just skills. That would have been insane. But I wanted to, I didn't want to be just like, there's a million skills out there, pick 6, you know. I wanted to give somewhat of a rough overview, so that everybody could get an idea of what they want. And if you want a skill that's not on that list, generally combining 2 skills, like surveillance systems and computer hacking. All right, that is now going to give you the ability to dismantle security systems remotely. I did use a lot of points to unlock guerrilla warfare and stuff like pickpocket, picklock, palming. Those are all great skills. Those are especially guerrilla warfare. That is one of my personal favorites. I love that skill. Magic number, something that was brought up to me. Okay, yeah, I would honestly sit down and redo your skills. Totally. So somebody asked me if we have critical successes, which is 0, 1 to 0, 5, and you have critical failures, which is 96 to 100. Why do you have a magic number? And the best way to explain it is looking at interrogation. If I am interrogating someone and I ask them a question and I get a critical success, they give me the answer to the question I asked. No problems. And they will even extrapolate a little bit on that question. Yes. Brandon should have that chart in the book. If he was not using that chart, then that's on him. Because I put that chart in the book so that he could understand. So that every GM could understand how to do that. Oh, did you get your own copy? That's awesome. Thank you so much. I love it when people get copies. It makes me happy. The bottom back of the book has a dent from Amazon, but that's okay. Well, if you want, next time you're hanging out with Brandon, and you got Brandon to sign it, nice. Vampire Cat Girly 60. Okay, give me 1 second here. Copy. Run over the Discord. I could have swore. Search. Paste. Saying no results. Nope. Getting nothing. That's weird. Okay. My Discord. Lordy me. I think that. If it's not that, then it's this. It's one of the two of those. I don't remember which one I'm supposed to post. So actually what I want to do, and that actually example character creation is in the book. It is in the rule book. But actually, what I kind of want to do is, because when we're gearing up, hopefully in the next week or two, we're going to start running games on Twitch. And then over the summer, there's 3 different places in town locally who have agreed to potentially let us run games. One is no. So in the rule book towards the front, there actually is sample character creation. The example characters in the back of the book are actually NPCs. So yeah, in the front there is a character creation, where you go through it step by step. Pending, vampire cat girly, accept. Okay, there we go. All right, so now, and I added you back. Okay, yes. So all the characters that you see in the back of the book are actually NPCs that you will interact with. And then in the front is sample character creation. But as we get closer to running the games on Twitch, one of my players asked, "Am I going to do pre-made characters, and then the players get to pick which character they want?" And I've never been a fan of pre-mades. I do not like them at all. I don't think I could spew out 4 or 5 characters that would do justice to the kind of characters that the players could create. So one of my friends, AJ, is going to be playing, and in order for you to be invested in your character, creation is a huge part of that. Creating their personalities, creating their likes and dislikes, knowing what stats they're good at and what stats they suck at. Taking those gambles to try and get better die rolls for your character. It makes you more invested. If I just hand you a sheet of paper and be like, "Here's your character, go for it," it's not going to be as you're not going to be as emotionally invested in the character, and it's going to be harder to suspend disbelief. Oh, very nice. Vampire elves are good. And we do have both of those races in Strangers. Those are playable races. But yeah, it's just... so back to the magic number real quick. You guys are really good at sidetracking me. So magic number, the difference between a critical success and a magic number would be critical success is always a good thing. Critical failure is always a bad thing. Magic number is indifferent. So the definition of magic number is you have achieved what you are attempting to the nth degree. Oh, that's very good. Nicely done. So again, back to the scenario of you're interrogating someone. If you ask them a question, critical success gets you the answer and extrapolation. A magic number, they will spew everything that they've ever done remotely pertaining to that question since they were 6. And you will have so much information that you didn't even ask for. Like, they will just spill their guts. That is a good scenario. Now, let's say that the person, you failed your roll. They refuse to answer the question. You get frustrated and you punch them in the face. Now you roll the magic number. You've just shoved your fist and forearm through their head, and you will get no more answers. So, in asking a question, getting the magic number, awesome. Punching someone that you need information from and getting the magic number, not so good. So the magic number doesn't care, good or bad. It cares that you have achieved what you're currently doing. So that's the huge difference between critical success, critical failure, and magic number. Is success is good, failure is bad, magic number don't give a shit. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's always, magic number is always so far over the top, it's not even funny. So, all right, we're coming up on 35 minutes. We're going to take a quick break, probably just like 5 minutes, and then I will be right back. Stay tuned for more cool content. Yes, magic number is my favorite. Okay, I am back. Let's see what we got here. Bit curious about the gap between low, mid, and high god tier character creation. I thought your character was pretty average, very stealthy, mobile, good in most environments. Then Brandon offered me a bonus power for taking an extra limitation, and I well picked his role, got time dimensional travel for a benefit. But I do notice there is a lot of powerful gear in the next sections, so is that going to balance the team out more? Okay, so as any game, you do have the potential for craptastic characters. As stated in the book, sorry for breathing, I just came up a set of stairs and I'm old. So, human average is 25 on a scale of 1 to 100. Human maximum without augmentation is a 50. So like your best athletes, your Olympic medalists, your professional sports players, those are all going to be between the 25 to 50 range. If you think about like World's Strongest Man competitions, they would probably be about like 45 to 47-ish. So potentially you could roll a character that is 25s or less on every die roll, and that would inherently suck. I don't want to say it would suck. It would be very. I would reserve characters like that for very experienced players, because you are going to be intermixed with mid-tier and god-tier characters. Quite a few of the NPCs are god-tier. Because, like Mikey, the leader of the Time Runners, he's been a Time Runner for over 400 million years. So yeah, he's gonna be like the pinnacle of holy crap, you probably shouldn't fight him. But yeah, gear is meant to balance it out. If you have a very low-powered character, getting your hands on some solid gear can even the playing field and at least put you up to mid-tier if the rest of the characters in your campaign that you're playing with, all the other players, are running mid-tier characters. You're going to want something at least mid-tier to keep up with them. Yes. I am not a metagamer. I do not care for the superpowered characters. In all of my 35 years of running this game, I've had one that on character creation was what I considered a god tier or a meta character. And I immediately apologized to the player and made them re-roll from scratch, start over, because it would have just unbalanced the game way too much. So for those that don't know, the main race in Strangers, which is actually not very easy to roll, are the Selenians. The Selenians are the ones who created time travel. Now, as a race that inherently can time travel, eventually mutations and genetic God, the word's escaping me right now. Through breeding, you will eventually come up with children who are born that can time travel without the need of a time travel device. So they can time dimensional travel without a chronicon. So those are Strangers. That is the name of that race. Strangers are Selenians who have the innate ability from birth to time dimensional travel at will. So that straight out the gate makes upper mid-level character. It makes your GM, because Chronicoms as a device can malfunction. They can, through magical means, through tech means, can be forced to stop functioning for a certain period of time, which makes for really good campaigns. Because now your time travelers are essentially trapped and have to find a way out, which is always a fun campaign. Now, if you have somebody in the party who can just time dimensional travel at will, that negates that plot point, that plot device. Yeah. A lot of people, when they first see that your personality traits are randomly rolled, immediately balk at that, because they're like, well, I want to decide what my character is. I want to play my character how I want to play it. But I think pushing you out of your comfort zone, I mean, in D&D, if you create a paladin, and he's not that stoic, stalwart hero, but now he's an airhead that likes pink and butterflies and unicorns, that's now a very unique way to play a paladin. Have you had someone like my character who's not a stranger but yes, I have had that in the past, and that would be a random mutation that character does get. So you will get your racial powers, and we tried to keep it even across the board. Every race got like 3 or 4 powers that pertained to their race. And then you could roll to see if you got random powers, which were mutations to your race. So, 1 out of 1,000,000 is of your race is born that has extra abilities. And then if you take a limitation, I think you get 1 more. And I think I capped that at like one, maybe 2 limitations. And you could get extra powers that way. And that was for those people who, like, when they would roll to get random powers, got none. And, and I'm sitting, like, as a player, I'm sitting here with my 3 racial powers, and the guy next to me has 3 racials and 3 randoms. And I'm like, well, this sucks. So I'm going to take a limitation so I can at least get 1 more. I might take 2 limitations so I get 2 more. Invisibility for the Naga roll and time dimensional for the limitation roll. Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think that's great. But let's see what else. Ella's really good at sidetracking me from what I was initially talking about. Oh yeah, God tier characters. Let's see. Succubus, Naga, strong bite, invisibility, mobile. Okay, how about addiction to violence causing? Ooh, that's actually good for the succubus. No, that's the thing, is so many people ask me what is so different about Strangers. Why is Strangers better than other role playing games? I hate better. I really hate that. Hey Direwolf, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Yeah, no, see, and honestly, from what you're telling me about your character, Elle, I think you've nailed exactly, like, as a GM, the more I'm reading how your character came out, I think this is a great character. Yes, your character is very twisted. And I think that's perfect for a Naga and a Succubus combined. Back to God tier versus weak, mid-level, and god tier characters. I prefer, as a GM, I prefer upper weak to lower mid characters. I like my characters in my games, my player characters, to have room to grow. Because if you start out with a god tier, there's not really much you can do. When you get your spendable karma at the end of a gaming session, there's not a heck of a lot to spend it on because most of your stuff is either maxed or close to it. So having that progression and building that character up, to me, is half of the adventure. I love seeing character growth and plot points and character NPC interactions and watching a story grow. And the way I see it, the GM and the players are building a story together. GM's controlling the settings and the NPCs, the players are controlling their own characters, and you guys are writing a story together. And I really feel that's what role-playing is about. Combat has its place, romance has its place, comedy has its place, but they're all factors in building that story. So I really feel like somebody who just builds a meta character straight out the gate is depriving themselves of enjoying and getting the full experience of playing the game. I much prefer lower levels building themselves up. Okay, so we talked about Yours and Mine, we talked about Magic Number, we talked about meta characters versus low levels. We both like the character. Do you have an open slot for the streams? I actually do. I actually have 2 spots left. I do want to confirm because I've got 5 total spots. 2 are confirmed full. The third I want to double check tomorrow and make absolutely certain that person is going to be in. But then I do have 2 other slots. It would be Saturdays, every Saturday at 4 p.m. Because I do have Friday, Saturdays off. One of my players might not be jumping until 5, so I might hold it off till 5 p.m. and just do a 3-hour session of 5 to 8 p.m. So yeah, it would be Saturdays at 5 p.m. Half the group is European, and we will usually end before 2. That's awesome. So that would give me 3 local and 1 overseas. Or 1 Twitch. One is a person from Discord who Twitch streams. And then including you would be 3. That would be local. So for my last spot, I would like to get somebody outside of Montana. If I could get somebody outside of the US, that would be cool too. Because I do want a well-rounded group. So the way it's going to be is going to be me and 5 regulars. And then I will leave 1 spot vacant for guests who want to pop in from time to time. If there's Twitch streamers who are like, hey, can I jump in for just like a one shot? I can either give them an NPC to play for a little bit, or I can give them, as much as I dislike making them, give them a pre-made to play with. And because it's just going to be a one-shot, oh, that might be something. Make one pre-made guest character, and then any guest that shows up has to play it. So depending on the player, the character may be played differently every time. That could be interesting. I might look into doing that. That could be fun. Let's see. Doubles rule. Doubles rule. Anytime you roll doubles, you can re-roll it. So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, etc. Anytime the GM rolls doubles. I think with the GM, it's just during character creation. With the player, it is anytime in-game. If you roll doubles, you can re-roll it. I'll have to double-check the rule book on that one, but I believe GM is just character creation. No. GM can roll in-game too. If GM rolls doubles, they can re-roll it. Then there's doubles happened a bit. He did get doubles 3 times once, but I don't remember the roll. Okay, so you gotta eat. The other thing, one of the reasons that I'm putting a dice roller in the game is I have had people in the past where we would play over Zoom, roll on the table with real dice, and then tell me their roll. And the amount of magic number that, like, you should get maybe one magic number every 2 or 3 gaming sessions. It should not be a huge regular occurrence. So when there's like, this person rolls 2 magic numbers in a row, then that person rolls a magic number, then this person rolls 2 in a row, and in one gaming session you're having like 7 or 8 magic numbers flying across the table, it's like, okay, I don't trust any of you anymore, because that is not a regular occurrence. I just don't agree with that. Let's see. Yeah, 3 doubles is, I think, max stat roll, or max power rank roll. So in that aspect, you can go above and beyond the magic number with 3 doubles. But again, I'll have to double check that. I think that's just character creation. I don't think the 3 doubles applies in gameplay. Then 3 56s in a row. That's something I want to discuss. That was my GM trump card, was 3 56s. And one of my players in the Zoom chat actually tried to push the envelope as far as they could. We're like, I got a 56. Oh my gosh, I got another 56. Oh my gosh, a third 56. Oh, your third 56? And all the people playing who have played my game before with me knew what that meant. And they were all freaking out and getting mad because 3 56s in a row is a complete dimensional reset. You scrap all your characters, all your missions are null and void, and you start over from scratch. Everybody makes new characters. You just caused a paradox and destroyed the universe. So that is the trump card to keep crazy amounts of 56 from happening. Yeah, so that actually was intentional. Because so this is probably like the eighth to 10th version of Strangers over the decades. There was a time when it was make your character and bring it to a gaming session. And then I started seeing all these characters where they didn't have a single stat below a 75 out of a possible 100. And I'm like, well, that's not right. That shouldn't happen. Oh no, I rolled it legit. Well, I didn't see it. So how do I know? You know, feasibly, law of percentages, yeah, that could happen. I don't want to stand there and call somebody a liar to their face, but at the same time, the odds of that are pretty slim. Yes. It is possible. I've done it with dice rollers. Use an online dice roller, and if you don't want to take your roll, hit the re-roll. And then you have to take whatever that second roll was. I've done it like that when I was making some extra NPCs that I needed to balance out the two teams. Yes, always let your GM review. But I think the things like the magic number, the doubles rule, the 3 magic numbers in a row, having 2 different types of combat, a lot of that stuff, I think, like I said, I don't like people asking what I think makes Strangers better. I don't believe any game is better than any other game. I don't. They're just different. I've had people play Strangers that stopped playing any other role playing game and use Strangers as a base to play any game. Well, I want to play D&D, but I'm going to use Strangers gaming system to do it. I've seen so many people do that with other games. Yes, I'm in Mountain Time. So it would be 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain Time, I believe, is when we're going to run games. I think you're Eastern Standard, right, Direwolf? Yes, okay. So you're 2 hours ahead of me, so it would be from 7 to 10 your time, I think? I don't know the rules about what I can say as far as copyright and what I can't. I do know that people have talked about Dungeons and Dragons and talked about Vampire the Masquerade and stuff in their Twitch streams. So I don't see why you couldn't name it. But I think the other thing I really like about Strangers 2, sorry, my ADHD just kicked in, is that there's no set, we need to go to the ruins and kill the rabid owl bear style missions. You can post it or PM, either way. And honestly, I've been working on my game since 1989, so I don't. TTRPG was Challenger, very much Cyborg Zeta Dragons. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. I'll have to Google that after the stream. made by David DeStaller. Nope, never heard of it. But no, I'll definitely check that out. That, like, I know that there are other games that deal with time dimensional travel. I never claimed to be the only one. I think in the book, I mistyped it, or somebody else mistyped it, to where it did say in the book that, as far as we know, we're the only ones that do this. There are very few, but there are ones out there that deal with time dimensional travel. And I mean, did Pathfinder rip off Dungeons and Dragons? Because they're both a D20 system. They're both medieval. There's changes, but you know, is it the same game just with a different name? You know. So yeah, you're always gonna have overlap. One of the questions I had when I first presented Strangers to people was, have you ever watched Doctor Who? And I was like, no. And they're like, you need to. And so I started watching Doctor Who, and I became hooked because, holy crap, it's a good show. But that came about, I think, like 20 years after I created Strangers. I was actually showing my girlfriend. We actually found, I think it was on Amazon Prime, or Amazon Prime Video or whatever. And I think it cost like $3 to rent it. There was an old 1980s TV show. I think it came out in like 82. I was like 11 years old when I saw it. Yeah, yes, I just told everybody how old I am. I'm ancient. Called Voyagers. And it was about this guy and this kid jumping through time, and something would be wrong with time and they would have to fix it. And then when they fixed it, they could go to another time. And that sounds a lot like Quantum Leap. But Quantum Leap was dimensional jumping, not time jumping. Actually, Quantum Leap was both. I think it was time and dimensional jumping. Sliders was dimensional jumping. But Voyagers was the very first thing I ever saw that dealt with time travel. And I thought it was such a cool and unique and amazing idea. And I was so upset that at that time I started role playing at 10 years old. And so I'm 11 years old and I see this awesome time travel show, and I go to my role playing guys. I'm like, hey guys, is there any game out there that does this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, crap. And so we tried so hard to find anything that could get close to that we could modify or twist or do whatever with to create that. And I was about 18 when my best friend and I came up with the base skeletal structure construct that would become Strangers. And we started working on the lore and the background and creating everything. So, I mean, a lot of the stuff, I had somebody bring to my attention that some of the stuff was a little antiquated. So there had to be a couple quick last minute edits. But I think the game still stands up. I think it's a really good game. And I think everybody who's played it, even if they were a strict D&D player for 15 years, they played a couple campaigns in Strangers and immediately went back to D&D. Awesome, cool, great. You found the game that you love and you're going to play it. That's awesome. I've also had people who played Vampire the Masquerade for 10 years, started playing Strangers, and never went back. and now all they want to do is play strangers. That is also good. It's all about finding what makes you happy, finding a game where you can create the character you want to make, and having fun. If that happens to be strangers, awesome. I'm happy. If it's some other game, cool. Go play. I don't like this idea of it has to be this or it has to be that. There's too much of that going on in everything else. Gaming should be fun, and we should be encouraging each other to just play to our heart's content and have the best time we can have. And that's really all it boils down to, is follow the fun. That's a phrase my girlfriend taught me. Follow the fun. If it's not fun, why are you doing it? If your idea of having a great time is sitting around the table playing strangers with your friends, awesome. Follow the fun. If you play strangers and you think it sucks, it's the worst game you've ever played in your life, don't do it. It's really simple. I just want everybody to have fun. And if my game is what brings you that fun, awesome. I couldn't be happier. And I hope everybody that plays it has a great time. I hope your GMs are killer, and I hope your campaigns are amazing. I hope you have a blast. Let's see. It's 3.5e and 5e and like a mouse TTRPG. I forgot what the mouse one was called. Based Dad Take. I don't understand that. What do you mean, Sith Lord? Okay. Are we still talking about that Cyborg Z game? The Challenger? Bandit? Is that what we're talking about? For non-tabletop specific, the Follow the World set, I played stuff like Icewind Dale, awesome. Baldur's Gate, awesome. Neverwinter Nights, awesome. Pathfinder. I have personally never played Pathfinder. So I don't have a reference for that one. I do know that when D&D switched to the D20 system, I was an old school 3.5 edition, and when they switched to 5th edition and went to the D20, I really was soured by it, and I walked away. I couldn't play because completely changing the skeletal structure and rule set of a game really left a bad taste in my mouth. Because I didn't just wanted people to have fun instead of being super defensive if people don't like the game. Yes, that has always been my base take on life. If you're not having fun, don't do it. It's really that simple. It's just, it's taken me quite a few years to get to that point and realize that. But that's really what life's about, is follow the fun. If you're not having a good time, if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Yes. When you I don't care that gaming companies do that. I don't think that's good for their GMs. I don't think that's good for their players. If you're new and you're starting out and you say go on a D6 system, hypothetically, GURPS. Let's say you play GURPS Vampires for 15 years. And then they decide they're going to switch from a D6 system to a D10 system like the original Vampire the Masquerade did. Now you're stuck because your brain wants to keep doing that D6 system, but now they've completely changed the entire skeletal structure and rule set of how that game is played. Some people will be like, oh, this is way better. I love this. This is awesome. Other people are just going to be like, this is garbage. I hate this. I like the old way. So for me, that was where I kind of lost with D&D. Cyberpunk, I started with Cyberpunk 2020, the original one that R. Talsorian Games came out with. I think it was 85, 86, somewhere around there. Really solid game. Loved it to death. They, I think, later on got an offshoot, or an add-on that was off of an anime I used to love called Bubblegum Crisis, and that was on the same system as Cyberpunk, and so they meshed beautifully. I loved it. It was so much fun because it took a game that I enjoyed. I will tout Cyberpunk. I love those guys. I've actually spoken with some of the staff at our Talsorian Games. I love them to death. I love what they created. They did an amazing job on that game. And the fact that I could take one of my favorite animes as a teenager and link it into that game, that was just the icing on the cake. I freaking loved that. The fact that you could put Bubblegum Crisis and Cyberpunk together made me the happiest person on the planet. It was great. When they redid Bubblegum Crisis and did 2040, I wasn't that impressed with it, and they didn't release a game, thank God, for that version. And then I think Cyberpunk re-released. I think there was a second Cyberpunk that came out before the game, before the video game. I think there was a second Cyberpunk that came out. Yeah, Mike Pondsmith is awesome. His wife Lisa is amazing. I love them to death. Great people. I think something I learned from testing video games is that you have to take a step back and think, how would this seem for a completely inexperienced player with no... Yes. Okay, so Cyberpunk Red, that came out after the video game though, right? After 2077? Am I right or wrong on that? It was right before. Okay. So then more or less 2077 and Red kind of go hand in hand. Okay, cool. That makes sense to me. So yeah, no, like that was really good. Palladium is another one that I really like. Their Rift series. They did Robotech. They did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, they had a lot of great games. Palladium did some amazing stuff. And I have nothing but mad love and respect for them as well. They didn't right to 2045. Okay. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, I am a crack monkey. I have so many mods on my Baldur's Gate 3 campaign now that my game randomly shuts down. Direwolf, it was Iron Crown Enterprises, or ICE. I remember playing that back in New York. And that they had one of the most in-depth critical success and critical failure systems. Because once you rolled a critical success or a critical failure, they had a table depending on what weapon you were using. So there was a slashing table for critical hit, a blunt table for critical hit, a piercing, a ranged one for like arrows. They had such an in-depth critical hit, critical fail system. Like, I was so very impressed by what they did. Yes, thank you for bringing up Rollmaster. I forgot about them. That was amazing. It was a little rule heavy for me. I think the first time I played Rollmaster, the GM literally had like 12 books. And it was anytime you did something, you had to grab a book and leaf through it to tell you what you did. And that kind of pulled you out of the game a little bit. But aside from that, that was one of the best. That was one of the better ones. As far as combat went, that was solid. Let me see what else. Done like 3 different Star Trek games. I think those were all done by FASA. We rescue Lae'zel from the panicked tieflings. That was really annoying. Oh no! You just kill the friggin' tieflings. Oh wait, are you a good person or a bad person? Because I'm a bad person. I have a good character that I modeled after my girlfriend, and then I have a bad character, and my bad character is horrible. So my bad character, just so you know, in Baldur's Gate 3, my bad character went in and saved the tieflings, made peace with the druids, so everybody was happy, everybody was cool and copacetic, and then I went in and smacked the druid with the viper, like slapped her in the face, and she instantly declared war on the tieflings. And so I just stood back while they all just started massacring each other. And when the war for the glade, is it? The glade or the where the tieflings and the druids are. When that war was over, there was like 5 tieflings left alive, and all the druids were wiped out and dead. And the grove, thank you. So yeah, when I was done, there was like 5 tieflings left in the grove, and all the druids were dead. But Halsin was already in my camp, so he didn't know what happened, so I didn't get in trouble for it. And so literally, I murdered everybody by just smacking some chick in the face, and I was like, score. I should not be allowed to play these games. Call of Cthulhu. I don't remember that. I don't remember playing. I remember the game. I don't remember playing it. I had a lot of friends that played that one. Yeah, no. I get to the point in Baldur's Gate 3 where people will not talk to me and will attack me on sight because I'm a horrible human being. I think I'm a Dark Urge Drow, I think is what it is. But yeah, I'm not. My character's not nice. When I got Minthara, she was like, "Ooh, you're my kind of bad." Settled right up with me, so that was pretty solid. If you ever need a vote of how evil are you, if Minthara instantly likes you, you're pretty much a horrible character. How do you as GM pick the player team's faction? Player's faction? Are you talking, wait. Are you talking like Time Runners versus Dark Runners? Or are you talking like the Screaming Valkyries and the Black Guard kind of thing? Time Runners versus Dark Runners. Okay. So, I have not published rules yet for playing as Dark Runners. The reason is playing a Time Runner is more protected. It's easier to play, and for newer players who have never played Strangers before, I would like them to start out as Time Runners. If you've played a dozen or so campaigns over a couple of years, and your GM is like, all right, I think we got this, and you decide you're going to run a Dark Runner campaign, then all the player characters should either be Time Runners or Dark Runners. You don't want, like, unless your GM wants to run, it can be done. It's really complicated. Because as people, even though you hear across the table something's happening and your character wouldn't know about it, it's really hard as a player to keep player knowledge, character knowledge separate. Subconsciously, we will try to take steps to counteract the bad things that they're doing. So in that aspect, if you're gonna do Time Runner versus Dark Runner campaign, I would personally say, like, have your Time Runner group play on Tuesdays and your Dark Runner group play on Thursdays. And then whatever happened in Group A, use as plot for Group B. And then whatever happened in Group B, use for plot for Group A, and pit them against each other. And, like, how would teams form, agree to work together? Usually, in my experience, another is that the GM and players decide for session one that, okay, this is our range of character alignment, no evil, everyone good or neutral, no wildly chaotic or lawful stupid, just for example. Okay, so there is no alignment. You're going to play your character based on your personality traits. So, like, the Valkyries, everyone in the Valkyries is, one, female. They're all women. Two, Rogue was a human with some cybernetics, and she felt like all the boys that had superpowers were kind of running roughshod over the Citadel, and so she wanted a group of girls that weren't first round draft pick. Whether it was because they didn't have a shit ton of powers, or it was because they felt they weren't picked because they were women or whatnot, but she put together her team of girls. And there's only two groups that are listed on the Citadel. One is the Black Guard, which is Mikey's hand-picked team, and the other is the Valkyries, because through all of the groups that were created, that was the only one that stood the test of time through every campaign. All the others either ended up getting disbanded, or 90% of the team got killed, things like that. And the Valkyries, like, if Rogue was trying to prove a point, she proved it, because that is probably one of the greatest teams that I've seen put together. And some of the people on that team were player characters, and they had a huge hand in making that team what it was. Let's see. And how would teams form? Okay, we just answered that. Yeah, no, that's basically players agree. GM can set some limitations, but if your character is self-serving, and your character is my way or the highway, and your character basically hates everybody but themselves, You're probably not gonna form a team with people who are like, people are wonderful, we should be friends with everybody. You're probably gonna be like, well, if I can like steal all their shit, yeah, they're pretty cool, but other than that, I hate them. You're probably not gonna align yourselves with people like that. But I know someone could be making a righteous character a goody two shoes, and then they're stuck with my character who's addicted to causing pain and finds such concept as fun. Not saying this is a no-no. Party friction can be great. Yes, Monty is awesome. That actually was a player's. If you look in the powers under cybernetics, there is Cyberpet, and the player was a stealthy thief type character, and they were very serious and very dark and very brooding, and they wanted a Cyberpet that could do stealth, sneaky missions with them, but they wanted the Cyberpet to have the opposite personality. So if like they're brooding and emo, the ferret would be happy-go-lucky. And I'm like, alright. So we made Montague. And he was a cyber ferret who likes funsies. And that was one of the fun characters that I got to play. Yeah, Monty is amazing. He is so much fun. I love when I get to play him. And honestly, the player character who created Monty kind of disappeared into the wind. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember the character. But everybody fell so much in love with Monty that we couldn't get rid of him. We had to keep him. And so when the character was gone, Monty actually got recruited to the Citadel as a full-fledged Time Runner. So no, you do not have to be a humanoid to be on the Citadel. You can be a straight-up animal. Well, we've already pulled an hour and a half on this one. I'm excited. This is a lot of fun. I'm really loving this. Well, I knew you'd like it, Sith Lord. But yeah, it's honestly, that's like, there was a point where I was concerned, and I think it's the fact that I'm so new to Twitch, that I'm not experienced on Twitch, and that I may be rusty when it comes to GMing, because I don't think I've GM'd something solid in probably 4 or 5 years. I really feel like once the live stream games start, I think it's going to be so much fun. I think we're going to have a riot. I tried to keep combat as simple as possible. Even the concise and structured combat, I tried to keep it as simple and easy to understand as possible. Combat has its place, and as you engage in combat, I want the players to feel like they are in that combat, but I also don't want combat so bogged down that, again, it ruins the suspension of disbelief. I want the players to be immersed and their characters to be immersed in the game. I want them to enjoy the story they are creating. Player versus player, if it comes to that, due to in-game influence, mind control, or otherwise, it isn't going to need its own special rules. No. Nope. I also find it funny that you can be self-hating if your personality rolls it. Self-hating immortals. Yes. Yes. We've had immortals that hate immortals. We've had one of the big ones is prefers others to own race. You actually can be a succubus demon that despises all demons, and you prefer hanging out with any other race besides demons. There's a couple NPCs that actually have that. I think that's a really cool twist on it. Like we tried so hard to come up with anything, to allow freedom. It was literally, if you, okay, let's look at Direwolf. Say he wants to play a 2,000-year-old vampire that kind of has Highlander style immortal aspects. He fights with a sword, lives a long time, etc. So yes. Then let's look at Sith Lord. Okay, he wants to be a Sith from Star Wars. Bandit, you want to be a cyber ferret. Vampire girly, she wants to, of course, be a vampire. All of you can run as a team. And that was our whole thing, is you can be anything from anywhere. You can pull from anywhere. I actually had somebody that was like, well, I had a player, we were in the middle of playtesting, he's like, I want to see how bad I can screw up your game. I was like, okay. So he literally tried his best to create Doctor Who. And he ran me ragged. I'm not going to lie. Every time something happened, he's like, well, I'm just going to pull this out of my ass and do this, blah, 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 because I have this device that lets me do it. I'm like, I hate you. But I didn't say it out loud. And everything he did, whether it found a loophole in the rules or not, everything he did, I took notes. And then when I went home, I would go over the rule book. And I would go over the notes. And I would be like, okay, is there a problem here? Was it just a one-off, he rolled really good, or was there a legitimate problem with the game? And if there was a legitimate problem with the game, I would take steps to try and fix it. And then the next time we came back, I'd let everybody at the table know, okay, there's been a couple rule changes, bloody this, bloody that, and he would just sit across the table and smile at me, knowing that it was because of him that the rule got changed. That made the book better. So when people are like, well, this rule sucks or that rule sucks, I will take that under advisement. I will take notes and go look at it. I don't take those lightly. I don't get mad at them because I'm never going to get better. The book is never going to get better if everybody just says, oh my god, it's great, it's amazing, oh, it's awesome, best game ever. Nothing's going to happen. But if somebody's like, well, like you said with the skills, I had to flip back and forth 5 or 6 times on my skills. Okay, that's the problem. Well, why don't you try a skill tree instead? You know what? I never thought of that. That's not a bad idea. So let's look into that. Maybe for a second edition, we can change it to a skill tree. So input like that carries weight with me. I love that because that's how the game gets better. Before B-Man clarified the setting and rules, I had some notes taken for a centaur who would tech out specifically for charging and melee combat, just pure zug-zug. Like, oh, massive force field. He is the force field battering ram. But then Brandon clarified the setting that it isn't pure tech and it fluctuates based on mission and timeline. That is correct. Yes. So and we had to add rules on Magic because that is something. We had a player that decided they wanted to make a paladin with magic. Well, we didn't have rules for magic back then. And so we had to try and figure out on the fly how are we going to make this. Yes. No, I agree. I think that's awesome. And I'm actually going to take clips from the chat and save them to my desktop. And I will be looking those over within the next week and see what we can do moving forward for... if I can get them done in time, maybe we can put them in the hardcover. If not, maybe we'll do a second edition and we'll put them in there. But currently the timeline is, now that Strangers is out, the next one we're going to start working on in June is the hardcover. We want to add some more races, and there was something else I wanted to add. I wanted to add more races and, all the artwork. I want to get all the artwork done. Because this doesn't even have a quarter of the artwork I wanted in it. And that'll be the hardcover. Once the hardcover is done, I want to start work on the Dark Runner book so that people can play as Dark Runners. The rules are going to be a little more strict because as Time Runners, your goal is to fix time, make time flow smoothly, be the good guys. As Dark Runners, your job is to monkey fuck time as hard as you can without breaking it. So it's going to be a little harder to pull off. Which is why I say, if you're going to play Dark Runners, I would rather you be more seasoned and your GM be more seasoned. In 35 years, I can count on one hand the amount of Dark Runner campaigns I've ran. I want to say 3. Because for me to throw down and run a Dark Runner campaign, I got to know that those players know what they're doing. Because otherwise, every 2 or 3 gaming sessions, you're just making more characters. Because, oh shit, we screwed up. Paradox, we're done. Everybody start over from scratch. Players don't enjoy that. GMs don't enjoy that. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I would rather the people doing that have played quite a bit of Strangers before they move on to that. So we'll kind of move that route. And then once the Dark Runner book is done, I want to go back to the initial hardcover, and we want to add in, so like one of the races you can play is the Animoids. One of the species you can play is Animoid Avian. Okay, well let's look at that. Animoid Avians. That's very general. Are you a falcon, an eagle, a hummingbird, a parakeet, a toucan, a cockatiel? Like there's so many avians you could be. Let's make an entire book about the avians. And let's go down each one of those animoids. Let's do that. Let's go down each one of the vampires and do that. Let's go down each one of the angels, the demons, all of those, fantasy, ancient, every single one that we can extrapolate and do a race book or world book and give our players more in-depth that they can go nuts with. I really want to delve into it more. I want to do a world book on Selenia itself, where it goes into their entire history from everything. Go into okay, like Naga. Let's look at Naga. Are you a constrictor type? Are you a venom type? Rattlesnake, do you have a rattle on your tail? You know, there's so many types of snakes that a naga could be. Is it cobra? Is it rattlesnake? Is it cottonmouth, water moccasin? I mean, there's so many types of snakes that a naga could be. Python, boa, anaconda. Like these are things that I want to address when we start getting into race books. What kind of animal am I? Well, I don't have cold water vulnerability. Fish naga. Okay, so there, sea snakes. I didn't even think of that. Sea snakes. There's like 5 different types of sea snakes. Like, holy crap. You know, so these are things I want to address later on down the road. In our last Twitch stream, I was actually asked, is this a one-off or are there going to be more books? There's definitely going to be more books. Because there's way more stuff than what I could fit into this. This book is, I believe, 256 pages. It's, I think, 3/4 of an inch thick. It weighs about 2 pounds. I crammed everything I could in that thing. But there's so much more. There's more lore. There is more races. There is more. There's more art. There's so much more I want to add to it. If I had gotten everything I wanted to put in it, it would probably be 3 times the size, 4 times the size. But for a starting book, for an introductory to strangers, I think I got everything in there that needed to be in there. And the rest we can do later on with supplements and revisions. All right, we got about 12 minutes. I think I'm going to wrap up here. All right, my clock is way off. No, it's 6:30. Why is it 6:30? All right, we'll go until 7. So we got about 30 minutes. So let's keep rolling with this. Let's see. Well, it could also be the heat because you're half demon. The heat from your demon form, keeping your naga form thermally regulated, so that the cold water doesn't affect you. Yeah, that is the issue. There's only a limit. Maybe if you make a guideline rule for if you don't see what you want, you can make it. Just keep it in range. Yeah, that I believe that's in the book. An idea I had for the expansions race world books would be styled as Time Runner dossier entries. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I like that. Okay, so here's another idea that somebody came up with that I really think is a super cool idea. And this is what I love, is people will read the rule book or play strangers and be like, oh my god, I came up with this super cool idea. I want you to, what do you think? And I'll listen, and like, you know, doing those as Time Runner dossiers, I'm like, holy crap, that's a cool idea. So, potentially this summer, we will have a game being ran at Dragon's Egg. I believe they were talking about Thursday nights, potentially. Their GM wants a new game to play, and so they're looking at strangers. A couple weeks ago, I talked with the people up at Sacred Grounds, that is across the street from Famous Dave's, in that little plaza. And they have a huge banquet area that is perfect for gaming. You could literally see probably about 15 people at that table, maybe more. And they are totally okay with potentially allowing strangers to be ran there. My friend Marty and his wife Caitlin. Caitlin used to work Sunday nights at the Monty downtown, which is a local bar. And they had a huge table that they would play Munchkin and D&D and other games had on Sunday nights when it was dead. So Marty and Caitlin are going to talk to the current owners, managers, and see if that can be revived and they can run Strangers games down there. So potentially we have 3 games. Also, Saturday nights I'll be running games on Twitch. Hence the guest slot on my Twitch streams. So the idea is a Time Runner passport. Whether it is a physical item that we create, publish, and put on Amazon, and people can buy it and have it shipped to them, or a digital copy that they can pay and download it. And they can, let's say that your game is the one at Dragon's Egg, and you play every week at Dragon's Egg. Well, suddenly your work schedule gets all screwed up, and you don't have Thursday nights off anymore. But now you got Tuesdays. You can have your GM at the end of each, not gaming session, at the end of each campaign, mark down that you have completed this campaign, you gained a total of this many spendable karma, and then initial it or stamp it like a traditional passport. You can then go to, say, the Tuesday night game at Sacred Grounds, show your character sheet and your passport to the GM, and just jump in their game. If you have an ignorant amount of free time and you want to attend all 4 games every week, potentially you could do that. You could do Sunday nights at the Monty, Tuesday nights at Sacred Grounds, Thursday nights at Dragon's Egg, and Saturday nights on Twitch. And as long as every GM is initialing or stamping your passport, you can time jump into all of these games. Okay, so Strangers has 1. We have 1 tear out character sheet. The reason I posted it on the website was for the people who did not wish to destroy their rulebook. So they could just download it and print it out, or download the file to their phone, take it to Office Depot or Kinko's, and send the file to the business, and then they could... Yeah, Amazon trashed it pretty bad, from what you were saying. And that way, you didn't have to like fold your book underneath a photocopier or cut the page out of your book. Because I always hated defacing my books doing shit like that. No. I'm not saying you should ban it. I'm saying for those people who want to, those passports would be super cool. But I just really think that something like that would be kind of cool and fun, and add another new aspect to Strangers that would make it different. What is Adventures League? I don't know what that is. I haven't played D&D since they switched to D20. I don't know what that is. Basically, D&D sanctioned games and characters so you can have games. Yes, that's exactly what it is. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, Bandit's good. Sith Lord, you better be good. If you got stupid questions, I'm gonna smack you. I'll work on the PDF edit. I think I found a good free website. Awesome. Good. Make sure, though, that it treats the PDF like a flat document that you can just put your numbers and values. Wasn't very confident with what? You have invisibility, but because of guerrilla warfare, you have stealth and camouflage. And what I'm thinking is that okay, say they have the systems to detect my invisibility. Oh yeah. So you're still gonna want stealth and guerrilla warfare and camouflage. Yes, definitely. I see what you're saying. So if somebody can see invisible, then your invisibility is null and void. So you want the skills to avoid detection. Yes. No, that makes perfect sense to me. So anyways, back to the character sheet. So you want to make sure that when your PDF editor looks at it, it sees it as a flat item and doesn't break everything up into little text boxes, because that'll start messing with you once you start putting in the values for your stats and stuff. You want to make sure it's a flat document where you can just add text, type in the value, shrink and grow it to whatever size you want, and then move it to the space, and then save the document. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Good. All right. I'm placing the boxes and nothing is being moved around. Good. Perfect. Awesome. That's what I was hoping you would say. All right. Well, we're coming up on. I know I said I was going to do an extra 30 minutes, but I'm getting hungry. And I need some food. So, Bandit's good. Sith Lord's good. Direwolf, you good? No, I'm glad. I'm so glad, Bandit, that I could help out. Like anything I can do. And honestly, feel free. You can message me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, any of those places. I do have a full-time job, so there are times I won't be available to answer. But generally, you can reach me throughout the day, and I will do my best to respond as quickly as possible. And I love you guys. I thank you guys. And once again, I had fun. I had a great time. This was amazing. And like, follow, share, especially on YouTube because we're kind of crying over there. So by all means, follow us, subscribe, click the bell, whatever I'm supposed to say, words here. Both here and on YouTube, and please help get the word out. And yes, I actually have been uploading. Twitch is actually linked to YouTube, so I can instantly export them straight to YouTube the second I'm done recording. So we should be good there. I believe the last Q&A is already up, so if you guys want to go check that out, if you missed anything up there, we should be good. So, all right. I love you all. Have a great day, and thank you guys for tuning in. Next time, bring 2 friends. Talk to you later.